All right. Hey, friends. Welcome back. Happy Sunday again, wherever you are. Happy whatever day it is there. This is a reading chat. My name is Kim, and this reading chat I think is going to be a bit of a long one. My reading the last couple of weeks has had a lot of ups and downs. I could have done a reading chat last week, probably, to be honest, but just never got around to it, and so I'm doing it now. Now, we'll start off with the good stuff. Starting with I finished Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jedrowski. This was excellent. I don't know if I've talked about what this book is about yet, but we follow Ludwik, and this is set in 1980s Poland, and he meets Janusz and has a crush on him and wants to pursue those feelings with him. However, with the political backdrop in Poland in 1980s, this makes it very difficult for them to pursue each other. This is a short little book. It is literally under 200 pages, but it is very profound. I found it to be an emotional marathon. This book is not very long, but the writing is it's just excellent. You could read this in one weekend. That's how well that it flows. But for me, I read it over the span of about 3 to 4 days just to really kind of like sit with the writing and sit with what was going on. Each chapter is a different kind of part in Ludwig's life or his development or his thinking in who he is. So it starts out, we meet him and he is young, he's in school, he is attracted to men, he feels a lot of shame about this. As the chapters progress, he meets Ludwig, and the two of them develop a connection with each other. And then the chapters also progress into a little bit more of the setting in Poland, especially with the politics going on at the time, and how Ludwig is deciding how he wants to live his life in this backdrop. So Janusz and Ludwig, I wouldn't say that Janusz is like a character who supported the government necessarily or that he believes in its mission or anything like that. He's very much like, I got the impression that he was a character who was telling Ludwig, like, you need to get on board or just get out, kind of a thing, and trying to make the system and this world work for him and who he is and what he wants for himself. He's just trying to navigate it in a way where he's like, what can I get from this? How can I make it work for me, kind of a thing. Whereas Ludwig looks at how Janusz kind of like carries himself in the world and in their country, and he's just like, I don't understand how you can support this or be on board with this. So very much a lot of kind of push and pull between the two of them, especially on the part of Ludwig. Like, he's really trying to, because this is his home, Poland is his home, this is all he's known, and so he's really trying to get on, not on board, but trying to kind of follow Janusz's footsteps and seeing how this can work for him, for the benefit of him and Janusz ultimately. I thought that this was a lot more than just a romance between the two of these men. I found it to be coming of age is a very big portion of this, as well. Themes of like conformity and what that looks like. And there was some very poignant chapters, I think, and writing around this. Now, when I get physical books from the library, I sometimes will often read the blurbs that are on the back of the covers or the backs of the book themselves. It's inconsistent as far as when I read them, whether it be like when I pick it up or when I'm in the middle of reading it or when I finish it. In this case, I read it when I was about halfway through the book, and then I also reread them when I finished it. And there's a blurb by the O magazine that says, "Imagine Call Me By Your Name set in communist Poland, and you'll get a sense of Jedrowski's moving debut about a consuming love affair amidst a country being torn apart." I've read Call Me By Your Name, and I enjoyed Call Me By Your Name. I really enjoyed Swimming in the Dark. I think they're two entirely different stories. I think that blurb was quite interesting and kind of rubbed me the wrong way, if I'm being honest. And it's nothing against either book at all. It's just simply like I read that blurb and I kind of thought like, oh, I got the impression that maybe whoever wrote the blurb maybe didn't read the book. Because Call Me By Your Name, while it's an incredible book in its own right, and it does have kind of coming of age themes as well within it, but that is a much more zoomed in look at the romance between the two characters there. There's a lot of yearning being written, whereas in Swimming in the Dark, there's a lot more to the book than just the romance between these two male characters. There's the politics that they have to contend with, the country that they live in, what they want for themselves. How does that look in this backdrop? There was a video review by Notes by Alex is the channel name. I don't know that he posts very much anymore, but I felt rightfully criticizes the blurb and the comparison of Call Me By Your Name. I thought he just like perfectly captured kind of my own thoughts on it in a very succinct way. So I've linked his video and his channel down below if you're curious. He also reviews the book quite well. But yeah, I just thought it was interesting. I was like, oh, I wasn't the only one who took note of that odd blurb there. Both great stories in their own ways, but I think difficult to compare them, especially in the light of trying to sell readers on this book and saying that if you enjoyed Call Me By Your Name, you'll enjoy this. They're two very different books, so keep that in mind for yourself. But Swimming in the Dark, this is easily another probably favorite of mine from this year that I have read, so very pleased. I had a suspicion when, I first heard about the book and knew what it was about. I was like, I feel like that has the potential to be a favorite of mine, and sure enough, it is. And it's definitely a book where if I reread it, I would probably glean a little bit more from it and its story. So yeah, I thought it was excellent. Would highly, highly recommend. In the same day that I had finished Swimming in the Dark, Swimming in the Dark, I also finished Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. Now I'm going to land on 4 stars for this romance, and I think that this is a well-rounded romance. I think there's some things that like I could have done without, but I'll touch on that in a minute. So this one, we follow Elsie and Jack. Elsie and Jack both work in physics. Elsie is a theoretical physicist, and Jack is not a theoretical physicist. What is he? Somebody who doesn't practice or look into theories, but does the act of experimenting. Experimental physicist, maybe? I don't know. Anyways, okay, we're going to move on. So they're they're both on the same field, but two different kind of like functions within it. And Elsie has applied for a job at the school that Jack is at. And I believe he's like a department head, and he's part of the hiring committee to determine who gets hired for that position. And they get off on the wrong foot when they meet each other. She is fake dating his younger brother. The fake dating is contractual, like he hires her just to get his family off his back when they bug him about, how he hasn't had a relationship or isn't bringing anyone around or anything. So anyways, that's her purpose. It's a mutually agreed upon, like, functional thing. It's supposed to be like a one-off date and that's it. However, she kind of keeps being utilized in this way because she likes him as a person and he likes her as a person. Nothing romantically, it's just friendship. And so anyways, that's how they meet. That's how they cross paths. And Jack immediately is pretty suspicious of Elsie. I think he kind of sees through their little game or what they're doing. But also Elsie comes to learn things about Jack that he had done previously, like years and years ago, and she's not a very big fan of him because of that. So she's also very critical and suspicious of him as a person. Elsie is also a chronic people pleaser, and that's also a big part of the story and her character development and us following along with her on that journey. The people pleasing and second guessing of herself kind of grew a little bit like tiresome for me. That was one of the things that was like almost making me put this down eventually. And I also tandem with that, felt that it was overwritten at some points, like not just the people pleasing, but certain aspects of the story overall. It was kind of like, okay, let's get going. You could almost predict how Elsie was going to respond in certain situations because she's such a chronic people pleaser that to the reader, it was just like, okay, like, I get it. She's going to encounter this situation. She's going to alter who she is or pretend like she likes something when she actually doesn't. And, it kind of became predictable in that way. But I think Elsie as a character also kind of got sick of her own shit, honestly. And obviously the catalyst for that was Jack and their interest in each other. And I think when, I say that Jack is like the catalyst for her fixing this, I think some readers could see that as like she found love and it magically fixed her who she is. You could read it in that light for sure, but I also think to me it read like very natural. And I think when you're with the right person, or sometimes love has a way of doing that in real life, is showing us, not showing us, sorry, but we want to be better people for the people that we love, right? We want to improve ourselves in some ways, especially when we know some of our behaviors or the things that we do can maybe be like not detrimental, but just they aren't great. Like I think we all know aspects about ourselves that we could be better at or improve in a little bit, and love has a way of encouraging us to do that. And so I think that that's what occurred in this book. There was a side plot in here that I could have totally done without in here. I felt like this was a perfect example of like, if this was not included in the story, the story would have progressed and moved on perfectly fine. And there was like her two older brothers. They're older than her. They're in their like mid-30s. They don't get along and they cause so much trouble for her mom and her dad. And her mom is constantly calling Elsie, asking her to kind of like mediate whatever issues between her two brothers. And they're like silly things. Like at first I was reading them, and maybe I just missed this point, but it might have been mentioned earlier on that they were her older brothers, but I thought that they were her younger brothers with how they were being described. Like these two went to a soccer match and they got into an all-out brawl at the end, and Elsie's mom was super embarrassed because she was at the game or whatever. Like little things like that, like little brother antics that you kind of expect, or younger sibling antics. And then when I found out that they were her older brothers, I was like, oh, like that's kind of weird. I don't know, but I guess, I don't know, maybe some people just never grow up. I don't know. But anyways, so Elsie's mom often calls her to get her to mediate or get involved or just try to like talk some sense into her younger brothers. And because she's a people pleaser, she always is doing that, even though she really doesn't want to. It got brought up early on in the story, and then for a good portion of it, we kind of carried on, and then it got brought up again later on, and I honestly forgot that it was a subplot. I was like, oh yeah, that's a thing that she has to navigate as well. I thought that the story could have just functioned just fine without it. There was you get insight into Elsie when she was younger, and she's a diabetic, and she overhears a conversation with her parents, like the reasoning behind what kind of like triggers or is like the launch pad for her to be a people-pleasing person. It makes sense. And just knowing the basic information or that event or conversation she overheard, like it makes sense. It could have done without the side plot of the little brothers. Like that would have been just fine not being included in the story. I would really like to see Allie Hazelwood write a dual perspective romance eventually, making her male love interest really fleshed out, have a really strong personality outside of just being built like trees and being broody and quiet and have like wilting stares from across the room. Like I would really like to see something else beyond that, because I think she has the potential to be a 5-star romance author for me. But I'm also just like such a sucker for dual perspective romances. Like I love that. I really am. Mostly because I'm nosy, but also because I find that it really enhances the overall romance when I get both sides. The other thing is that I want to note is the spicy scenes in this book. So I've come to discover of the two books that I have read by Ali Hazelwood, I really like the way she writes spicy scenes. I think she does them in a way that like makes sense, and especially in this book, makes sense with the main character development and the overall story of what is going on. Elsie is a people pleaser, and oftentimes will like disregard her own preferences, her own interests. She will even lie about what she likes or is interested in, at the sake all to kind of like please whoever she's speaking to really kind of be what they like as well. And so you could imagine how that would manifest into like her physical intimacy with whoever she is with. Her people pleasing doesn't go away. Like it's constantly this hum in the back of her mind. And so she's trying to navigate this new aspect of their relationship and trying to quiet her people pleasing so, she can enjoy that aspect of their relationship as well. Because I think maybe there's a lot of readers out there who maybe can see themselves in that aspect. Just a guess. Okay, so after I finished those two books, I was like, oh, like, when you're reading a few books in a row and they all are just really great and you're like, I can't be stopped. I can't be stopped. Whatever I read next, I'm always going to enjoy everything that I read. And on my e-reader, I started reading The Woman Who Lied by Claire Douglas. And this is about a successful mystery writer who somebody is replicating her mysteries in real life, and I guess she's also at risk of, I don't know, being a victim, and so she's just trying to figure out who's doing it, kind of a thing, who's replicating her mysteries. I didn't even make it past 10% in here. I read the first 2 chapters, I think, and I DNF'd it. I wasn't really enjoying being in the main character's head or following along with her perspective. And then I started reading First Time Caller by B.K. Borrison. I read the first couple of chapters, enjoyed it enough, but I think because I had finished Love Theoretically, I was a little bit cheesed out, like romanced out a little bit. And there was a line in here that was like just ultra cheesy, and I cringed to the moon. I was like, I needed to put it down. And so I did. I was like, hey, soft putting this down for now. I just need to read something else that's not romance. And so I picked up Sleep by Honor Jones. Okay, total side note, if things look different, if the lighting looks different, it's because my little Mike, this poor little guy, died midway through the last clip. And so yeah, I got halfway through talking about Sleep by Honor Jones and I realized like, my little thing is blinking at me. I wonder why. It's because he did. Ugh. Okay, so anyways, this is a woman who has her own children and she is reflecting on the time from when she was younger, with her own relationship with her mom and how she wants to be a mom to her kids, and at the same time she's taking care of her own mom as she's getting older. I read the first 50 pages in this and felt a little bit irked, and I had a feeling that something was being alluded to because in the in the synopsis, it says, late one summer, she wakes to a new kind of peril and the simple pleasures of girlhood slip away. And it also mentions about like this book is about what it takes to keep a child safe. And so anyways, yeah, so you can kind of put 2 and 2 together. I actually read the blurbs on the back shortly after I started reading it because I was like, oh, I really like the writing in here and I enjoy how this is going. And so let me just read to you some of the words that are used in the blurbs. One of them says this novel is propulsive and funny and heartbreaking, sexy, and full of humor. The rest of them obviously detail more than that, like marks the arrival of an astonishing new voice in the world of literary fiction. Honor Jones writes with honesty and courage about life's complications and contradictions. Heartbreaking, sexy, full of humor, with elegant language and profound insight, Honor Jones transforms a story of family secrets into something utterly fresh, original, and exhilarating. And, I don't know, after reading the first 50 pages, I was a little bit put off because the blurbs are saying that this is propulsive and funny, sexy and full of humor. Like I know that blurbs, the intention is like the reading experience of the entire book. I get that. But I don't know, at no point in the first little bit here was I finding this funny. It kind of put me off a little bit. I was like, if that's what the blurbs are saying, but like, how am I just supposed to process what has happened in the first 50 pages here? I don't know. I put it down softly for now. And if you go to Goodreads, there are reviewers there who very bluntly indicate what happens in the first 50 pages in here. And basically it's about how our main character carries that throughout her life and how it impacts how she shows up, and how that trauma, just impacts how she is a mother to her own kids. I think it would interest me. It's just, I don't know, I'm having complicated feelings about this right now. I'm sure maybe on some level it gets funny, maybe eventually, but I just can't reconcile what I read at the end of part 1 and like thinking like, how is this supposed to get funny? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I might have more well-rounded thoughts on it in a couple of weeks here, and maybe, maybe I just won't read it. I don't know. I could just be overthinking it. It's just not what I want to read right now. And if that's the case, that's the case. So anyways, I then went ahead and picked back up First Time Caller by B.K. Borrison, and I am, how many pages in am I now? I'm about 170 pages in, and this is going really well. This is cute so far. Yeah, I'm glad I picked it back up, especially after the heavy tone that was Honor Jones, and I just kind of was like, that's not what I want right now. So basically, Eden here, sorry, I'm not going to flip you off, runs a radio show. He's the host of Heartstrings, Baltimore's romance hotline, and people call in. He helps them through the romance issues, helps them, I don't know, navigate whatever they want. And her daughter calls into the show one night to try and help her mom like get a date, or like, I don't know, just kind of like volunteer her mom to be on the show or call in or whatever. So she finds out, and then she has, like, in the first 2 chapters, she has this conversation with him on the air, and she's like, she wants to find a connection, a natural connection. She like, it's this long-winded monologue about the love that she wants to find, how she just kind of wants it to be magic and whatnot. And so anyways, and so spurs this, all these people in Baltimore, like, their conversation goes viral, and the radio station where they're hosting the show is kind of in the dumps as far as money. Like, the ratings are tanking, callers aren't, it's not looking good for them. And so Aiden's manager wants to capitalize on this situation, and she's like, listen, let's give Lucy, did I mention it was, the character's name was Lucy? Anyways, now you know her name is Lucy. Let's give Lucy her own segment on our show. She can come in and we can help her find love. We can help her find that magic that she's looking for. And so her and Aiden are in a very tight, cozy studio room together where there's not a lot of room to move around. And it's very clear he's got a crush on her first, but he's a bit of a grumpy guy. He doesn't really totally believe in love. He's very much a skeptic. And he's trying, like, in good faith, trying to help her find what she wants to find. And she's the one who's just like, I believe in the magic of love, and like, she wants to find it again. So anyways, it's going well so far. I'm liking it. I'm really enjoying the side characters that are in here. Aiden has a coworker named Jackson, who is just a cutie patootie so far in this. He's so cute. He does like the little weather segments on the radio, and his personality is just, it's really adorable. And then she has quite the village around her. She's got her colleagues in the shop that she works in, the vehicle shop. They're very cute and endearing older gentlemen who are just like, who just want to support her and help her find her love too, and they meddle into her life and whatnot. And then it's her kid's dad, his partner, and then a couple of friends as well of hers. And yeah, they're all really great side characters, and her daughter too. Also have the book on audio, so I'm tandem reading that, and the audiobook is going really well so far. I really like it. They have a male narrator and a female narrator, and yeah, I like it. That's going really well so far. I just threw that book. I don't know, I don't know if you could tell. The other one is, so I do like to have a physical book read on the go and then a ebook as well, because I like to read when I'm in bed at night. And the ebook that I have is Everyone Who Can Forgive Me Is Dead. And this is from, I didn't write down the author name, but anyways, it's fine. And this is going really well so far. I also have the audiobook and I'm tandem reading it as well. And basically we have Charlotte, and she is, we meet her as an adult, and basically there was some tragedy that happened on college campus years and years and years ago, and she's alluding to the fact that she hasn't been totally honest about what happened that night. People really want to know, like, it was the tabloids and media got a hold of the story when it happened, the tragedy, and just ran with it. And so she's alluded, like I said, that she hasn't been totally honest about what happened that night. And so the whole media frenzy around it, and when it garners attention, it makes her very, very anxious. And like, she doesn't want anyone to go near it because, I don't even know why, really. We're going to find out. So yeah, and now there's a girl who was the sister of one of the girls who passed away, and she wants to make a movie about what had happened that night. And so now we're at the point where Charlotte is trying to get a hold of her and connect with her to talk her out of doing this movie. That's all the reading updates right now. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video, which will be a book tag video. Thank you so much for being patient with me while you're waiting for me to kind of continue on. I'm not the best at like doing them immediately when I get tagged. Sorry, but yeah. Anyways, I will see you guys in the next video.